Welcome to Bitcoin Technical Analysis. Today I'm here with Tone Vays from Brave New Coin. How's it going, Tone?
Pretty good.
Excellent. I'm also here with George Samman from Semantics
Hi.
and BTCVIX from Whale Club.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. So there's been a lot of movement in, I think, every market except Bitcoin today. I mean, everything was going up and down, a lot of movement, lot of movement everywhere, really. Okay,
Yeah.
so George, what do you got for us today?
Well, I think, I'm going to start talking about China a bit, and that market's been relatively quiet considering where we've been with China for a while now, and that could be that it's trying to respond to what Japan did with negative interest rates and see what happens there, because it's going to certainly be deflationary for China. So I think they're going to look to see what they're going to do with the yuan. But I just have a chart first of the Shanghai, and I tried to look for some support levels below 2798, and then if it goes through there, I see it going back to the breakout around 2500. There's nothing really to trade or look at here. It's gotten a bit dull, which is probably kind of a good thing. It's holding above this support level, but not really tradable at this point, in my opinion. And then here is the onshore-offshore yuan spread, and it is continuing in the direction where it has been for a while, with offshore leading onshore, and it's been going up a bit. What's interesting about it, though, is despite all of the ban on short selling that China's tried to do with the offshore yuan, it hasn't been able to really be effective in any way. And the devaluation is probably going to continue now that Japan has gone negative in interest rates, although and I'm sure other people will be talking about this, the JPY USD spread hasn't really surprisingly moved in the direction people thought it would. So the US dollar, which is probably the most crowded trade that there was, has unwound, and that is because people are starting to figure out, A, that interest rates probably will not rise again this year and may in fact go back down, and the US may go to negative as well. But the other part of it is it's just one of the most highly long positions out there, so it unwound in a major way today. And you can see this through other markets, and I don't know if you want to, this is the ruble dollar ruble spread, and obviously with the dollar going down, commodities were up today a bit, and anything that is commodity related has gone up in the currency world as well. So the ruble is one thing, and Euro USD clearly is starting to go back into an uptrend, hasn't cleared above its 200-day yet, but looking like it might. And then here's the Aussie dollar Aussie spread, and these things are all kind of maybe shorts being unwound, but they're moving pretty dramatically, and we'll see what happens and they shake out in the coming days. But a lot of these moves are pretty significant. And then here's just a look at all the yields throughout the spectrum. The 10-year has fallen completely, but it's found major support right around that 1850 area. And look at that candle today. I mean, it looks like that could be a bottoming. Not that it's going to go back up, but that it might consolidate down here, and the move is kind of long in the tooth of the yield in the U.S. Same thing here with this is the German 10-year. It's fallen off down to almost zero, not quite yet. At one point today, I believe, or yesterday, it got almost at zero. The 5-year was. Japanese 10-year, 0.075. Believe it did go below zero for a little bit before it bounced back up. The 5-year is under 0% right now. And then this is just showing you the Nikkei, which is one of the reasons why Japan went negative. It's been in a 25-year bear market from the peak. It's never even come close to coming back. So the Japanese story has been one of complete and utter despair, and every attempt by the central bank hasn't been met. And here are just two quick looks at the U.S. Short term, 1 year and 2 year. And as you can see, the market's simply saying that the interest rate rise was a one and done, and probably rates go lower, or if not, nothing happens until 2017. And that's all I have for today.
Hey,
Okay.
George, I got a question for you.
What's up?
Hey, can you pull up the US dollar? I'm really curious if it's been going down all day or it started around 2 o'clock when the stock market reversed.
It's been down all day.
Can you throw? Do you have a 1 hour chart on that? Yeah. Okay. Cool. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think the chances are of the rates going negative this year, George?
I'd say it depends, but you hear like Bernanke talking as well now, saying that that is something that certainly could become a tool in the book. And other Fed officials have started to say that there's caution on raising and potentially there's room to ease again. And I think the markets are telling you that that's what they want, and you're looking at a lot of pressure in a lot of different areas, like the high yield market and emerging markets. And I think the dollar needs to come down if you want to have some kind of rally in global markets. Negative rates also are probably pretty positive for commodities in general. And we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. But so far, Japan has been ineffective even in doing this. I mean, the Nikkei is down about 1,000 points since negative rates started.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for that. Okay, Vix, I think you've got something about oil and some other markets.
Yeah, I just want to start out by kind of piggybacking off of some of the things that George said with the release last week that the BOJ went negative on rates. And you guys have my screen up, right? You can kind of see this is the monthly chart of what George had up as far as the Nikkei, and we've gotten smacked down about 1,000 points. But I was really looking at this pivot candle as kind of an interesting place for them to try and intervene to prevent more downside movement. So that was kind of interesting. But as George kind of alluded to. We had that rate decision last week. That's pretty clear with this huge 4-hour candle, but we've more than fully retraced this all the way back to well before the announcement. So what kind of like happened here? Because I ended up on the wrong side of the trade. Luckily, somehow I was able to scalp the long side for profits, but I think there was so much leaning towards this negative rates that people got ahead of themselves, and then you couple that with some soft U.S. data, and really what we saw today was not yen strength at all. It was dollar weakness, and I mean that was reflected in the euro as well. So that's really what this move largely was, I think, over the last couple of days is dollar weakness. And then if I just back out, I really want to focus on USD JPY for a moment, because I do still think there's a lot of upside left for the yen going forward. I'm really, this is a monthly chart, and if we hold trend here, you're talking out to 2018. So that's a pretty long-term view to get back up to, the once high of the 146 area. But I do think we're going to break out of this range this year and start to head up to the 130 level. It doesn't feel like that right now, especially after this big reversal so close to that rate decision. But that's kind of what I'm presuming as far as kind of a longer-term outlook. Let's see here. I did want to actually go over oil quick. Let me type in that ticker. And this actually supports that idea that we had dollar weakness today. Let me zoom into the 1 hour. There actually was a data release at, I believe it was 10 a.m. Eastern time, and that's defined by this candle. So I'm on Central, so that's 9 a.m. It was
Inventories every
yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah, so we had an increase in inventory. We basically had this big spike down, and everyone went back into their oil doom trade, but it immediately was just rejected, and we've really taken off to the upside here since then. So that's pretty, when data that's negative stops affecting price negatively, you're looking for a good local bottom. And whether we've passed that because we've moved quite a bit. We're running into some overhead resistance, at least short term. But I thought that was pretty interesting. I don't know if anybody else was watching that because I think that's been a big change. As we've actually seen the data be negative and the market react the other way. That's basically all I have. I don't know if anybody else wants to comment on that specifically.
I don't know. I mean, do you think that oil is really done going down now, or is this just just from today and all the action that went up, and it could still make new lows?
If I back up to a daily chart here on oil, this actually has me quite bullish, at least to a test of, say, this 38 level, or we have some trend lines resistance up here around 40. We chopped around here pretty heavily, which is what I would expect to see in forming a bottom. I mean, this is extremely messy. I mean, these candles don't look this big, but when you're talking daily candles from 29 up to 33, you're almost talking like 8 to 10% moves in these daily candles. That's quite large. I mean, today alone, I think that's probably an 8 or 10% candle. So I actually am bullish here on oil short term up to the 37 level and even up to 40, depending how fast it gets up there. So I'm not really looking too far. I'm going to watch what happens at these resistance levels to determine if we're going to roll back over. But I don't know. I'm having a hard time getting extremely bearish on oil. There's been a number of companies that have come out that missed earnings, not doing share buybacks, cutting thousands of workers.
Yeah.
So other than a few bankruptcies that we may need to see, that's kind of what I would expect to see at the teeth of the bear market in oil and in commodities.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for that. Okay, Tone?
You know what? I'm gonna pick up with oil as well. I usually do them in a specific order, but since VIX closed with oil, let me start off with oil. And I actually agree with him on most of the things he said about oil, especially the movement of the candle. I mean, you're trading oil futures mostly. If you're a professional trader in oil, you're trading oil futures, and these are monster moves. I mean, that today it moved over 10, well, not over 10%, but yeah, like 8%. If you're holding futures, you happen to be on the wrong side of the trade, it's completely disastrous. So I see it as well. I also think that oil bottomed temporarily, and I am looking for a bounce. I've been looking for a bounce. I haven't been able to time the bounce. I've had several chances. If you look at older videos, I was saying your buy point is the breakout above 30. And if you missed the breakout above 30 yesterday and today, you had a chance to buy it on a pullback to 30. So there's definitely been chances to go long oil. And I do think oil will go lower. I just think that the dollar is also going to weaken temporarily. And oil has some upside here once we get out of this channel, right? So you have this, we already made a 35 high. Yeah, it's a big range here, so there can definitely be some more choppiness. So maybe something like this, down and then a breakout. But I do think that oil has not hit bottom for 2016. I think eventually it will go lower. All right, so that's oil. Let me close that. Let's go to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to be relatively short. It did nothing since last week. Please go back to last week's video where I talked about the divergence. So the divergence we are looking at is right here between this and this. So you have it closed higher, but your indicators close lower, and the MACD as well, right? It closed lower. And somebody in the comments last week talked about hidden divergence. I actually don't believe in hidden divergence. You either have divergence that worked or they don't always work, so it didn't work. If you're looking at hidden divergence and divergence, you're just going to drive yourself insane. To me, you have an upward channel in the price and a downward channel in the momentum indicators. I'm going to assume the price is lying to me, and I'm still looking for Bitcoin to either stay flat or go down into my 300 to 315 area, and if it goes lower, it doesn't kill the bullish long-term trend. Okay, so bullish long-term, short to neutral, intermediate term. All right, that's Bitcoin. Let's move on to the S&P, and lastly, if you go back to last week's video. I mean, I kind of almost called it to exactly what's going to happen. It just, I guess, partially luck. But you have this reversal candle right here, okay? And this is the futures that I'm highlighting. And in the bottom left, I have the S&P cash. The S&P cash made it all the way to 1947, so almost 1950, which is a nice round number. Again, just look at the last few videos. You had another perfect reversal candle here. I was looking for the S&P to hit a high this week and then go back down. And I was looking for today's close to be significantly weaker. We do have what appears to be a reversal candle working on it right now in the futures market and in the S&P, but I don't think 3 days make a trend. I think this is just a shakeout. Everyone's shorted as they should have, and I think we're still gonna go down. We're gonna go down. We need that secondary low because again, in last week's video, I talked about you had confirmation, you had a second low which happened to be higher, and then you had confirmation in the bullish trend. Right now you had the first low, but you need the second low. Your second low is still missing. It can be lower than January, it could be higher than January, but you need to see what is happening with momentum to see if you have divergence or confirmation. So I am looking for a secondary low, probably in February, later this month or early next month. Very quickly, I sent out this tweet yesterday before market opened, and you can see at the point I took the screenshots and I tweeted it out like 5-10 minutes later, whenever it was. And this looked like a top to me of the trend. I tried going short. I had my limit orders right there. This is the hourly chart, by the way, looking at the daily on top and the hourly below. I was trying to go short, and this is, again, check my Twitter, Tone LLT, so you can see this tweet. I pretty much did it in real time, and this was my attempted entry to go short. It was at this line, and this then never got filled. The moment the market opened, I was hoping for a little early bounce, and then it just tanked. Now this here, this afternoon, is completely insane. Whoever traded this profitably, all the power to you. You're probably a better trader than I am. I was just watching this with amazement. I'm mostly an options spread trader, and my portfolio was going all over the place. And lastly, at about 30 seconds, I don't want to go too long, this is gold. Again, last week's video talked about this perfectly. I was looking for gold to go up. Again, I'm a very patient trader. I don't chase. I tried to go long here. I didn't get my fill. I was hoping to see a pullback to 1100, get in there. This is a decent target. But with upcoming weakness in the S&P 500 and weakness in the dollar, I can definitely see gold going all the way to 1200. That does not stop the bearish trend in gold. Once all the gold promoters start screaming gold is going to 25,000 or higher, gold's going to do this.
Right.
Okay.
So, Tone, I just want to ask you quickly about that because you're on gold. So, what on your charts, or I don't know if you have a long-term chart right now, but what resistance level would gold need to break through to break the downtrend?
Oh man, that's high. That we're talking. You want to see weekly and monthly closes above like 1250, maybe even higher long term. I mean, these are just short moves. I think the dollar is going to have a little bit of weakness. You saw it begin today, and gold has some more upside, especially if the S&P is going to go to the downside. That should also send bonds up. People are going to run away from the S&P. They're going to run to safety, and gold has some temporary upside. Of course, there could be pullbacks, but I don't think gold bottomed for the year. I think we're going lower.
Okay. Vix, you wanted to talk about divergence for a minute?
Yeah, just real quick here on my screen. I just pulled up the back to the oil chart. I remember Jim and I were talking about this last night. Basically, this is the Willie indicator. It's made by a CR investor. Many of us use with Bitcoin. I do think it doesn't work the best on Forex, but the commodities indexes seem to obey it a little bit better. So we had just had, divergence in price to this indicator, where we saw lower prices and the indicator was unable to make new lows. And I do find that the Willie, especially with Bitcoin at least, is extremely powerful with its divergences. I didn't take this trade, so anybody that did was far braver than me. But there's a trade there. The question is, when that inventories number came out, did your stop get blown out? Because you might have played this trade right. You entered on a cross of from oversold area. Maybe that was your entry signal somewhere in like here. Well, depending where your stop is, I don't know if this wick got you or not. Could have. Actually, I'm kind of surprised they didn't wick it down right into the low here. That surprised me a little bit. But if you had the intestinal fortitude to hold through that, it's good, great trade. So that's it.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's a pretty big wick. I think we could say.
It would have scared the shit out of you when it printed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, I just wanted to I did want to touch on Bitcoin briefly. Yeah, it is basically flat. I think the only interesting thing that has been happening is on the shorter time frames. If you were to zoom in, you will see that there has been some selling going on, but it gets bought up every time. So that's a little interesting. And also, we've had for a long time, BTCE is at a premium to Bitfinex, and as you can see on the chart where it's yellow at the bottom, the last time it was like this for a period like that was, last year, May, June, around that time. So it's not normally like that in the Bitcoin market where BTCE is ahead of Bitfinex for extended periods of time. But that's about the most interesting thing that's happened over the last week. Okay, and I also want to thank our sponsors for this show. We've got orderbook.net, where you can trade Bitcoin futures. They've got daily, quarterly, and they've got one out to June. And you can trade them with 3-to-1 leverage over at orderbook.net. Check that out. And also Vaultoro, the Bitcoin gold exchange, where you can trade Bitcoin and physical gold. You can also get your physical gold delivered. Your physical gold is also auditable at any time, so definitely check out Vaultoro.com. I want to thank everyone for watching today. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, give us a thumbs up. Also, feel free to comment below, and talk to you next time.